Boruto is about to level up his power once again, as he is going to receive the strongest sword to ever exist in history.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
He has handed over the blueprint to Sumire to upgrade Sasuke's sword, so that he can take on Jura and save the world. Like, we can't forget that Boruto is carrying a death sentence. My man has over 20 death flags in only bloody 27 chapters. Bruh made a deal with Momoshiki. When he borrows that power, he gets one step closer to losing his body forever. And Boruto hasn't told anyone about it, because he doesn't care what happens to him, as long as he protects the people he loves. Boruto pays a surprise visit to Sumire and hands over his sword. Using Sasuke's technique of coating the sword with chakra, the blade is impervious to getting damaged or becoming dull. However, during the battle against Jura, because my man is built different and he's so powerful, Boruto had let his guard down, which resulted in the blade getting chipped. So Sumire is tasked to fix it by the end of the week. And with Koji having access to every future technology, the sword will become even more busted. Boruto hands over a scroll containing the perfected and completed version of the research that they were doing in the past. Now, if you guys have forgotten, we are talking about lightsabers. Remember back in chapter 18, we see Katasuke hand Boruto a lightsaber that uses one's own chakra. But at the time, the research was not complete, as it would deplete the chakra of the user way too fast. However, in chapter 21, we discovered the power of the chakra blade being impeccable, meaning just like a lightsaber, it can slice and kill anything instantly, no matter the substance, strength, or durability of the enemy. This was perfectly showcased later in chapter 22, with Boruto slicing and dicing Owl with the chakra blade as if he was butter. Now, as a result, Jura's middle finger that he loves using is gonna be ripped off like nothing. He won't be able to defend himself against Boruto's new Kenjutsu as easily anymore, because now with this upgrade, Sasuke's blade is going to be unbreakable. Now Sumire, just like Inojin, she's given a literal cheat sheet allowing to skip all the trial and errors, reaching the result they need. But as she takes up Boruto's request, she decides to play her cards and tells him to no longer call her class press, but instead call her by name, Sumire bitch. And this is basically her first step in getting past the friend zone. And meanwhile, Kawaki is going down the exact same path. He wakes up every day with fresh hatred, willing to burn his own body to ash if it means erasing every last Otsutsuki from existence. He tells Amado to upgrade his power once again, and it's a price that he's willing to pay without hesitation. And then we get Amado, he's peeping in on Jura's livestream. He confirms to Kawaki that this divine tree that Jura is cultivating not only can heal their injuries, but is also working as a powerful weapon and an impenetrable shield, which makes Jura essentially immortal. Kawaki believes he can still beat Jura. Anyway, Kawaki pushes Amado to make him stronger, but the moment Amado tries to warn him that it would disintegrate his body, Kawaki crashes out and threatens to destroy his throat. Now, if Amado wants Kawaki's help to bring his daughter back, then he doesn't really have much of a choice. Kawaki doesn't care if his body will explode if he's able to kill Jura. He tells Amado to place his bets on him if he wants to see the daughter again. Now, this is clearly a foreshadowing of how Kawaki's story will end, because my man has been saying that he's gonna off himself since the very beginning of his introduction. I think Kawaki's own death flags is himself saying, I'm gonna die by the end of this story. I think he said it 3 separate times already. Now, what this guy is doing, he's basically trying to build peace with the hands of a tyrant. And what makes all of this poetic is how Kawaki's obsession mirrors the very monsters that he's trying to destroy, the Otsutsuki. But on the other hand, meanwhile, Kashin Koji finally drops intel on Mamushi, the Shinju who would wipe everyone if they slip up even once. His ability isn't shadow clone tricks, it's way beyond that and way too OP. Shadow clones divide your chakra and weaken you the more you make them, but Mamushi has no limit. He can split into hundreds or even thousands of bodies, and each one is real. There's no chakra drop, no durability loss and every clone is at full power. The closest comparison you can make is twice from My Hero Academia. Like, the reason Hawks had to delete that man before the war started is because the heroes would have lost otherwise. But Mamushi, he does have a weakness. The more he multiplies, the dumber he gets. His intelligence drops and his battle strategy collapses, where his pain tolerance goes down. In other words, too many clones turn him from a calculating monster into a wild animal acting purely on instinct. That is his only opening. Boruto has to force him into that over multiplication state around 20 to 30 clones where he becomes predictable enough to kill, because Koji makes it clear Mamushi must be killed in one hit. If even one clone survives, it's over. And there's another condition: they have to destroy both his Rinnegan eyes. If they don't, he can just keep splitting. So Team Boruto are in a catch-22. If they take out one clone's eyes too early, he'll stop replicating and regain his full intelligence, making him even more powerful. Shikamaru then hits Koji with the smartest question of the chapter: what if he leaves a clone behind in the Divine Tree dimension? But Koji, he already thought of that. He says Mamushi's bodies move like a swarm. They're driven to regroup and merge with the majority, almost like ants or bees in nature. So even if one body is left behind, instinct will force it to rejoin the swarm. But then Inojin chimes in with a logical question: why are we planning to fight in Konoha? Aren't we just putting everyone in danger? And the answer is Jura. Jura isn't like Mamushi or the other Shinju clones who act purely on instinct. He has developed preferences, curiosity, and even a strange sense of morality. His target is Boruto and Himawari, and no matter where they run, he will follow them. Which means if Boruto leaves Konoha, Jura will track him and every village in his path will burn. But if the battle happens inside it, Jura won't destroy the village. Why? Because he's grown attached to it. He's fascinated by human life, by the books he's binge reading, by the sweets, the culture of Japan, and all the emotions that he's never supposed to have. He wanders through Konoha the way an alien might explore Earth for the first time, not as a conqueror, but as a student. It's basically the same character development we saw with Miriam in Hunter x Hunter. So Mamushi will always fear his leader and not cause destruction to the village. And that's when another bombshell is dropped. Koji decides to teach Inojin a brand new jutsu that is going to be pivotal in battle. The technique he wants Inojin to learn is his very own one from the future. This is from a timeline where Naruto's daughter Himawari, she actually dies, and Inojin completely loses his shit seeking vengeance. It's a jutsu that's backwards compatible with mind transfer. And my first thought was to say that Inojin will learn his grandfather's mind destruction technique and use it to make Mamushi's clone tear each other apart. Now regardless, hearing the possibility of Himawari dying, Inojin says he will master the power in one day. Mamushi pulled up by the end of the chapter. Like, my guy has Guna energy and is off the charts. The second he steps foot in Konoha, he's already drooling thinking about Ada. But to enjoy more peak fiction, watch this video about Death Note on whether or not Light Yagami became a Shinigami. It's on your screen right now.